Hello.
Hello. Welcome to mock interview. To start, please tell me, what job role or position are you preparing for? 2, what is your experience level? For example, fresher, junior, mid-level, senior. 3, what type of interview would you like to practice today? Technical, HR, behavioral, system design, or mixed?
Let's go with backend developer role as a fresher level and technical round.
Excellent choice. A technical interview for a fresher backend developer? Let's begin. Could you explain what an API is and why it is fundamental to backend development?
API act as a waiter between frontend and backend server.
That's a good analogy. Could you elaborate a bit more on what that waiter actually does? What specific functions or services does an API typically provide or enable in the context of a backend server and a front-end application?
API takes user request and go to backend server and bring data in the form of JSON and give it back to the front end.
You're on the right track regarding the flow of data. When you say an API takes user requests, could you specify what common types of operations or actions an API allows a client, like a front-end application, to perform on the backend server's data or resources? Think about common HTTP methods if you're familiar with them.
For example, post and get request.
Excellent. Could you explain what a GET request is typically used for and what a post request is used for in the context of interacting with a backend API?
Okay, let's end this here.
Understood. Would you like to move on to a different technical question, or would you prefer to conclude the interview at this point?
I would like to finish this here.
All right. Thank you for participating in this mock interview. Here's some feedback based on our brief interaction. 1. Communication skills. You used a good analogy for an API waiter, which effectively communicated the basic concept. Your responses were concise. For future interviews, try to elaborate more and provide details without being prompted, demonstrating a deeper understanding. 2. Technical knowledge. You correctly identified an API's role in facilitating communication between front-end and back-end. You also correctly mentioned JSON as a data format and GET and POST as HTTP methods. Area for improvement. When explaining concepts like GET and POST, aim to describe their typical use cases clearly. For example, GET for retrieving data, POST for sending data to create a new resource. This shows a more thorough understanding beyond just naming them. 3. Problem-solving ability. This was not heavily tested in the short interaction as we focused on foundational concepts. 4. Confidence level. You seem to hesitate a bit when asked for more detailed explanations. Building confidence in articulating your knowledge will be beneficial. 5. Areas of improvement. Elaboration. Practice explaining technical concepts in depth, anticipating follow-up questions. Think about what it is, how it works, and why it's used. Examples. Providing specific examples can solidify your explanations and demonstrate practical understanding. Core concepts. For a fresher backend role, ensure you can thoroughly explain fundamental concepts like APIs, HTTP methods, status codes, REST principles, and basic data structures. Overall interview rating for this brief session. You have a foundational grasp of the concepts, which is a good starting point for a fresher. To excel, focus on deepening your explanations and confidently articulating the why
Thank
and
you. I
how
understood.
behind these technologies. You're welcome. Do you have any questions for me, or would you like